Hello and welcome to That's Football. How you doing this lunchtime live show? We're going to be talking about the winter break. The winter break that looks like it's going to get sanctioned by the Premier League. Are you pro or are you against a winter break? There's some good things and there's some bad things. I must say I'm not totally convinced. We'll be talking about that. But first of all, let's talk about Carlo Ancelotti to Arsenal. Could Arsenal fans, the majority of Arsenal fans, finally be getting their way in relation to Arsene Wenger? And would you be happy with Carlo Ancelotti at Arsenal? Look, the reality is they are, we said it yesterday, Arsenal are, to the non-Arsenal fans out there, they are regressing. And, you know, maybe that's funny to non-Arsenal fans anyway because we don't support Arsenal. But in the cold light of day, they are regressing and they are going further towards the mid-table than they are the top of the table. All right, you kept hold of Ozil, you brought in Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, but traditionally you let your best players go. The midfield is, I always used to look at Arsenal and say, look, you're missing a striker, and they've been missing a striker for 10 years. They've now brought in somebody I really rate in Aubameyang, but now I look at their midfield and go, what happened to your midfield? What happened to your midfield? It's rubbish. It's rubbish. I mean, Wilshere, I think Arsenal fans like Wilshere because he's, you know, he fights for the badge, but that should be a minimum for any player in an Arsenal shirt. And also Xhaka, I mean, Xhaka's just a waste of time, isn't he? So their midfield is a mess, and I think that, you know, Wenger needs to go. I saw that tweet from DT the other day saying, you know, nowhere in the league, out of the cups, embarrassingly out of the cups, the FA Cup especially as holders. One disaster to another. AC Milan about to come up in the Europa League. Wenger surely will go. I think loyalty reaches so far, and I've said it before about Wenger. I think he needs to look at the situation and go, I'm never going to turn this round. Why am I here now? I manage the Invincibles. I've won Premier League trophies. I am arguably Arsenal's best ever manager, and certainly in the modern day. And all I'm doing is elongating it now. Can I get... If Wenger thinks he can get Arsenal back to winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, which they've never won a Champions League, but you know what I mean, then obviously that's the motivation. But somebody has to be in his ear, or someone has to be in his head and say, you're never going to do it. This club needs a change of direction. You probably should have gone a few years ago. Would Carlo Ancelotti fancy the Arsenal job? Would he be a good manager? Speaking as a Manchester United fan, I've always quite liked Ancelotti. When Van Gaal was leaving, around that Christmas, before he'd signed up to, I think he was signing up to, was it Bayern or PSG at that time? I think it was PSG, wasn't it? I wanted Ancelotti. He was my first choice at that time. Very experienced. Won. I think, isn't he the only manager to win the Champions League with different clubs? More than two. So very, very experienced, as I said. Managed in the Premier League. Did well at Chelsea. Would that prevent him going to another club, a London club? I don't know. Andrew Ellis says, I'd sign Wilshere tomorrow for Manchester United. Obviously a big fan. Cannot imagine Arsenal without Arsene Wenger, says Pratic. Well, the thing Arsenal fans you will find is the same thing that us United fans have found and Liverpool have found, is that, all right, it's not been that successful for Wenger for a long time, but when he goes, it's still a big change. His footprint in that club goes back many, many years, and for somebody new to come in and change all that, and also manage under a regime, I think one thing I would say about Wenger is he has got owners who like to make money, don't they? I mean, it's the most expensive ticket in the Premier League to go and watch Arsenal play, and they pack it out. There's a lot of money going into that club. They haven't really spent a lot of that money. They don't like to spend a lot of that money. They've got owners who, like some clubs, do like to take the money out of there. So it's not like a new manager's going to come in and be given an open checkbook either at Arsenal. They'll have to manage within the regime that Wenger did very, very well for many years. Always in the top four. Never going to win anything, but always in the top four. And by anything, I mean the top prizes like the Premier League or the Champions League. So will this be Wenger's last year? Many people would think it should be. Be interesting to see if it is. And who would they go for next? Some other names that have been touted about. Brendan Rodgers has been mentioned, which is quite a funny one. Arteta, currently at Man City as an assistant for Pep, formerly of Arsenal. Maybe I think he'd be a good shout. Brendan Rodgers and Jardim, who's the Monaco manager, all been mentioned. So which out of those would you like, Arsenal fans, if you were given the choice? I think Arteta might be not a bad one. I think you'd have to be patient and give him a couple of years to sort of build it. But, you know, if it's better for your club, then patience is good. Just on Conte, apparently Chelsea won't be sacking him till the end of the year, end of the season. I think he will go at some point, but probably not till the end of the season, unless he gets absolutely hammered by Barcelona. But it's too late in the day, isn't it? They need a bit of stability going into March, and you may as well just see out the end of the season with him. Neymar out of the Champions League second leg against Real Madrid with a metatarsal injury. He will not play in the second leg against Real Madrid, which probably means curtains for them. Not necessarily. They've still got people like Mbappe and Verratti, and got good players, PSG. 3-1 trailing from that first leg, but Neymar not being there is a blow. Injured against Marseille at the weekend. Tuchel is a very underrated manager, says James Allore. Fast attacking football, and Dortmund collapsed after he left. Wenger can take over at West Brom now, says Liam. Arsenal board has always prioritised financial profit over success, and hence they are suffering now, says Pratic. Manager won't change anything at Arsenal, says James. I can see Arsene Wenger managing a national team, says Kato Ellis. Yeah, it'd be a nice retirement for him, not so intense. He clearly doesn't want to retire, does he? I don't know how old he is now. And Arsenal and Manchester United should sack their managers, says Andrew Ellis. Well, we know Andrew Ellis is not a big Mourinho fan. Okay, let's talk winter break. This is the hot topic. We've spoken about a winter break before. What are your thoughts on a winter break in general? For me, I don't like it. I don't like a winter break. You want to know why I don't like a winter break? Because I think footballers are paid enough money and wrapped in enough cotton wool these days that they don't actually need a winter break. I mean, I'm not in the 60s. I'm not. But I remember football in the late 80s, early 90s, and teams were pretty much playing their same 11 Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. Now, yeah, football's a little bit quicker, but the pitches are far better. The boots are better. The physios are better. But those players back then were still playing Wednesday, Saturday, same 11. So I think modern footballers are mollycoddled, and I think we as fans have to endure enough breaks in a season as it is. In the summer, we've got a massive break, and we've got to go. We can't. World Cup's great, but mostly it's 3 months without football, just hanging on to transfer news. So when the season kicks in, you want to watch football. We start the season in August, we get 3 or 4 weeks before it's an international break, then we get 3 weeks back, then we get another international break, then we get 3 weeks back, then we get another international break, then we get a little break till March, then we've got another international break. They infuriate us enough anyway. They're like mini breaks for fans. It's infuriating. To add in a winter break as well, it's one break too much, and I don't agree with it. However, the plan is that it should get signed off. There is a sort of tendency amongst the Premier League clubs that they'll go for this, that there will be a winter break from the year 2020, but it will be at the start of February. It will mean that the FA Cup 5th round gets played midweek, and it will allow for basically 2 weeks, but it will mean one weekend there's no Premier League football, so teams will get a 2-week break. I don't think they really need one, but as another bit to that, I think there's a big win there that it's not going to be over Christmas. That would have been terrible. You cannot take UK football away at Christmas. That is a massive part of the festive period. So that's a positive. It will happen in February. And then the other thing about it is, literally just read this before I came on, is that there won't be a Premier League weekend without there won't be a weekend without Premier League football. What they're going to do is they're going to have 5 fixtures one weekend, 5 fixtures the other, which then allows every team to get 2 weeks off. So you might have Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea playing the first weekend in February, while United and Liverpool are off. And then the following weekend, United and Liverpool play, but Arsenal, Chelsea and City have the weekend off. So it's staged, it's clever, I don't mind it, but I still have to say I'm not convinced that the modern day player needs those gaps just because they do it on the continent. That's what this is all about. Oh, they do it in Spain, and Spain are really good at the Champions League, and they're very good in the tournaments in the summer. I don't think it'll make any difference at all 2 weeks. Look at Manchester United. Played on Sunday, not playing until a week, till Monday Night Football, so they've got 8 days off. Lukaku's over in America, you know, oh, well, we need a break, yet you're doing a long-haul flight to America to go and watch basketball. So, you know, I think it's just another way of overpaid footballers being allowed to have a little bit more time off, and I don't think it will make a hell of a lot of difference, but at least it's not going to be over Christmas. SD, thanks for the contribution. He says, footballers today are mentally weak. No winter break, says Storyface. Christmas is all about the football. There is no need for a winter break, says James. The argument English teams suffer in Europe is nonsense. Kishan Patel says, we're in the no winter break gang. Chatani says, I don't want a winter break. Great atmosphere. That's what make Premier Leagues unique and the real test. Just discontinue the AFL Cup and no FA Cup replay, says SWHL3. I agree. I think it's a very good point that I hadn't even considered it. Why do we have the League Cup? Get rid of the League Cup. What does the League Cup do? Manchester United won it last year. As a fan of the Manchester United, what does it do? I mean, what does it do? It gets you into the league. Does it get you into the Europa League? Woohoo! You know, it's too. If you're gonna, I agree. Get rid of that. Get rid of it. If you want breaks, get rid of it. But I don't think we need one anyway. Ericsson is linked to United, says Pankaj. Tune into the United stand at 1 o'clock. We will be talking about that on Red Rumours at 1 o'clock. Christopher White says, I wish I was alive when players could play through injuries and had had a strong mentality. No word of a white lie, Christopher. Back in the late 80s when I used to watch football and they were playing Saturday, Wednesday, it was the same 11 and it was pretty much the same 11 all season, 40, 50 games. And they guaranteed they were carrying injuries, but they just played. These days, you're right, because of all the physios and the sports science, little niggle and a player can be out for 6 months. Kato Ellis, what are my thoughts on the Premier League introducing the AllStar Game like in the NBA? Well, I don't think they're thinking about doing it. It was Romelu Lukaku who put a tweet out about it, wasn't he? Be fun. It would be fun. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Somebody was on about it the other day. There should be a Premier League game against La Liga, shouldn't there? But yeah, you know, again, going back to the late 80s, I was talking about this the other day. There used to be, I think it was December, November time. It was brilliant. It used to be on a Wednesday night. Maybe it was all week. You won't believe what I'm about to say. Have a search for Manchester Soccer 6 First Division, because it was something like that. I was very, very young, but I remember watching it. It was basically a six-a-side tournament, and I think they did it in Manchester, obviously, and it was all the top teams playing, and they just had a six-a-side tournament for about a week, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. In fact, I'm going to go and Google it myself. They'd never do it now, but it was like six-a-side playing against each other, and there was a tournament, and you won it at the end of the day, and it was great. Even though like a bit like your Masters thing now, but it was proper players doing it. It was great. You could have a lot more fun with football. You could have a lot more fun with football. League Cup is all about money that the FA acquire from the sponsors. I agree with that. Football has become so friendly they probably wouldn't even keep scores anymore soon, says Luca. And Andrew Ellis says, why do you think so many players get injured in the winter in terms of their hamstrings giving way? I played with bad hamstring injuries, says Andrew Ellis. Steve Bruce for Arsenal manager, says Ali Khan. Do you think players aren't serious during matches like Roy Keane and other players long ago, says Pankaj. I don't know. I don't know. And Spike says, imagine that six-a-side right now. I'd love it. I'd love it. It'd be brilliant. And MEFC Up Gamer says that would be awesome as well. Andrew Ellis talking about the Legends game. But can you imagine that, watching a six-a-side game? Manchester United against Arsenal. So you've got, well, not Arsenal, maybe Man City. So you've got Dyer in goal. They've got Edison. Two defenders, you know, a couple of midfielders and a striker. Lukaku up front. Maybe Pogba and Mata as the midfielders because he'd be good at five side. Bailly and Valencia, you know, great. Be really good. Love it. Love it. Anyway, it's a quick fire show. That's all it is at midday. Thanks everybody for watching. Do drop a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're going to get daily content up on That's Football. That's the aim now. Watch alongs. Spoke to Xander last night. We're thinking about doing Arsenal Man City on Thursday. We'll definitely do Man City Chelsea on Sunday afternoon. And there's talk of us doing something, I think Barcelona Atletico Madrid on Sunday night. So got a good, we'll try and do a couple of watch alongs for you a week as well, but we're trying to get some daily content up here as well. So keep spreading the word about That's Football. Subscribe if you're new, drop us a like, and give us some ideas about any shows you want to do, because there's always football news for us to discuss, and I enjoy the topical side of things as well. But if you've not caught us live, give us your thoughts on a winter break below. Arsene Wenger, is it the end? Would Ancelotti be any good? And Neymar out of the second leg of the Real Madrid PSG game. Is that curtains for PSG? And you never know, Neymar could be at Real Madrid next year. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon. If you want to join me on the United stand at 1 o'clock, we've got a transfer show there for you. Red Rumours, talking Ericsson to United and a few others. But back on here tomorrow with That's Football. Thanks for watching. We'll try and get content either live or a pre-record at midday for you every day. But give us your thoughts, give us your ideas, and thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.